Ball out. Ball out.
Bow, bow. Bow, bow.
Ball out.
Bow,
Ball out.
bow. All we do is bow.
Ball out.
Bow, bow, bow.
Ball out. Ball out.
Ball out.
Me and my hitters go all out. Ball out. Ball out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Me and my hitters go all out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Ball out. Ball out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Me and my hitters go all out. We about to take them all out. Dropping by the mall out. Come deliver mail on y'all route. Show them what it's all about. Just get called out. Fall out. Me and my clique, we don't fall out. Me and my chick, we don't fall out. We minding our business, keep y'all out. Break up, get up quick, then we hit licks till it's all out. I hate my job, I'ma call out. Boss of myself, child out. I'm a recruiter, a high percent of shooters. Gotta keep rifles and Rugers. Some people just trifling and losers. Watch for the jackets at night, they be cruising. I can put together. A.R. Kinston-Yetta. My hitters be tougher than leather. Can't nobody do it better. Glock 9 with the F-in. Step in with my best friends. Best friend Smith and West End. If you miss 6, still catch 10. Ball out. Stall out. Pulling up outside the y'all house. Empty till we all out. I got the juice and I'm crazy. If you not a killer, don't say. Hit squad ain't nothing to play with. Undertaker and a grave dig. Best man like Tay Diggs. When you in the paint, gotta play big. Hitters ignorant like cavemen. Went from good fellas to made men. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Shout out, ball out, get called out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Ball out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Me and my hitters go all out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Ball out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Me and my hitters go all out. We about to take them all out.
Boss Cowboy Sports, live Sunday night. It's the OC and Boss Cowboy himself in the building. Tell your friends and loved ones to get in here right now. About to kick off a blazing hot show. Like, share, subscribe. Do not forget to turn on the bell notification icon so that you see every time we drop the latest and greatest in Cowboy sports and news. Boss Cowboy, talk to the people.
What's up, man? Where you at, man? You got the view, man. You got the shine coming off your head, man. What you doing, man? You didn't even let people know you out of town. See, that's what happens when you doing big business. What's going on?
Man, you know, I'm in sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. My oldest daughter has a national tournament, man. So you're getting a hotel view from the 22nd floor.
Ooh.
And, you know, we just putting in work, man, and up here having a good time. But, you know, as we say, the show must go on, man, so it don't stop. It don't matter where we are in the world, man. We still getting down and giving the fans what they want.
Yeah, man, that's a good view, though, man. It look good, man. You see the mountains and everything behind you, man. So, hey, you know the OC go put on the show. Now, I did invite Marvin. I sent him to the link. He hasn't showed up yet. He might not want none, man. He might not want none. Let's say what's up to some of the people in the building. The Reaper said, I'm here. And so what's up, the Reaper? We always glad to see you. Then Darren Posey said DMV in the building. Yeah. And you
what's up, DMV?
Yeah, you in the enemy territory. So, and then April Shaw was she's showing the Kool-Aid. So I guess she said she drinking, I guess, what's being served, because we've been serving up a lot on this defense. I really hope he make it, because, you know, it's kind of technical sometimes, and he might be still trying to get in. But whenever he come in, we'll be ready. April Showers, she got a message for you. She say, OC fancy. Yeah, he's fancy.
What's up, April? How you doing?
Yeah, he's fancy, man. But, you know, like you say, he made the sacrifice to get on the show, even during family time. So we go give y'all some sauce real quick. So we actually talking about these offensive coaches. I think it's very interesting, and because this is in a preparation for training camp, and we committed to doing this, where we're going to talk about all aspects of the team, from coaching to special teams to trainers to the players to the position battles. But you got to start with first the top. You got to start with the top of the top. Before we get into this, do you have any additional thoughts?
No, man, I'm just ready to kind of dig into it, man, and try to tie the pieces together so we can give some type of education and prediction as to what will be this coming year and how things will play out. Because I think that's what the fans want to hear about. They want to hear about, hey, how does this correlate to the field and where the Cowboys end up this year? So, no, I'm ready to get into it.
All right, let's get into it then. So first things first, all right, and I'm still waiting on Marvin. If he come, he come. If he don't, you know we ready. We always got backups. All right.
Yep.
So getting right into it, the Dallas Cowboys offensive coaches. And so this was already prepared for you and Marvin to duke it out because we've been gearing that up for a minute, right? Should the Dallas Cowboys be run first, pass first, or I'm still on adaptable offense to where we basically change our offense based on the weaknesses of the defense. So I'm very anxious for him to come because he really is heavily run first and he makes a good case. You seem like you're adaptable but also open to pass first. So that would be definitely interesting. But we go definitely start it off with Boss Cowboys coaching basic judgment principles. It's actually one.
All right.
And I want to get your thoughts on it. It's really one for right now. Just one for this show. Judge players by individual performances, but judge coaches by the group. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that, man, a pure evaluation is based upon performance only and performance metrics based on the potential and based upon the expectation. When you get into the coaches, you want to judge them based on the group. But let me add some more to that. I think that when you talk about a coach and you talk about having young players and being in a new city, in a new town, which a lot of these coaches are, you want to judge on the peak performance of the group over time. So I think that you really won't get a good feel for these coaches until we get into week 5, week 6. You'll kind of get a better feel for where they're taking the group. Is the group growing? Are they improving? Or is that coach making a judgment? So I'm judging him based upon the growth of the players. I'm judging him based upon the adjustments he makes, and I'm judging him based on how well the players play together progressively, especially by the time we get to week 5 and week 6. So that's how I would take it.
Right. So the first person, and I'm gonna need you probably elaborate on this because I got a message from Marvin. He told me to send a link. I figured it was something technical because, you know, he's a former head coach. They never late. They always early. So, but we go get into obviously the first guy, and then I'm gonna work on the back end to try to get Marvin in. But the first guy, you know, I want to obviously bring up is the main guy, right? That's just appropriate, right? So the main guy is Mike McCarthy, all right? And so I'm gonna kind of give my analysis on Mike McCarthy real quick. Then I definitely want to hear your analysis. I work on getting Marvin in. I called him the former Cowboy killer. I think that's very appropriate. But what's funny to me is I'm hearing like a lot of people already tired of him. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like all the heartache he gave us under that Garrett era. So obviously he's a hometown guy. And his record is great with Green Bay. He's fourth amongst all the existing coaches in wins. 9 postseason appearances, 6 NFC North Division titles, and 4 NFC Championship game appearances with 1 Super Bowl win. So like I said, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this and elaborate as I get Marvin in. My thing is, if my definition is going to hold for all the coaches, we are in good hands. Because if I'm judging him by the group, his resume on how he led men is still really, really good. Is it Belichick? No. Is it all-time great? No. But his track record of leading men, man, Garrett would have never been fired even with this resume. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I think that Mike McCarthy is a offensive specialist in terms of being a head coach. I think that Mike McCarthy is a guy that has the pedigree to give you a successful franchise. I think that with special and unique players, he has the splash ability to get you a Super Bowl, as we saw him do in Green Bay. I mean, if we look at just his last stint with Green Bay, over his years there, I mean, he had a fantastic regular season record, around 600 over his coaching career, 14 years. His regular season record is equivalent to 4 top Hall of Fame coaches in terms of leading a team to the playoffs for 8 straight years. So no other coach has done that except for Bill Belichick, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll. Those are the only 3 other coaches to lead one franchise to 8 straight playoff appearances. So he is, second only to a guy named Curly Lambeau, which was an old school coach for the Green Bay Buccaneers back in the day. He's only second to him in terms of overall wins. So I think that Mike McCarthy has the pedigree and the adaptability to be very, very explosive and a good head man. I don't see him as a guy that will take lemons and make lemonade. I think he has to have the pieces, but I think that through the draft and through his assistant coaches, I think that he does have the potential to already have much of those pieces, with the exceptions of a few key positions. So I think that with the right momentum and this team getting hot, he could have similar and even better results as he's had in Green Bay. Him going back to his start in coaching, he was with the Kansas City Chiefs, his offensive coordinator. He was a quarterbacks coach there. Green Bay, before he got the job, he was a quarterbacks coach. New Orleans Saints, he was an offensive coordinator. The 49ers, he was an offensive coordinator. And so when you look at all his pedigree and his background, it seems to beg to what we talked about many times, is that he is going to have an explosive type offense, and he specializes. I call him the quarterback whisperer. I think that everywhere he's been, he's had a good amount of working with QBs and increasing their productivity level and getting them to play at an all-pro level. So I see him doing the exact same thing here in Dallas in combination with Kellen Moore. I feel like that he's a guy that is more of a players type coach. He does not have a dominant leadership style like a Bill Belichick. And I think that, in spots that can work against him in terms of what he wants to do, in terms of having his team be focused at all times. But I do feel like he's a guy that definitely has the intelligence, the IQ, and the game experience to be extremely successful and push us into the playoffs for the next several years. So that's the way I see it, Boss Cowboy. What you got on that?
Well, also, we do got Marvin in the building. I check your sound. It was only one thing about your sound. It sounded like you have us on the background. You might be watching us on TV, so it's going to be a little bit delay if you're watching us on TV, Marvin, or you might have us on your computer. I'm finna turn you on, though. And also, could you center, just because I see you sitting back chilling in the church, just center yourself real quick so we can get us a nice little production. Hey, we turn it on your audio. What's up, Marvin? What's up?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? It's finally good to see you. Hey, turn your phone to the side,
man.
Too. One more thing. You know me, man. I'm gonna be real. I'm like you. No, turn your phone to the side. It's
right.
Boom. There it is. That's what we want.
There we go. We go.
All right. So
yeah, man. Hey, man, it's good talking to y'all guys, man. Me and you, boss. We talk a lot on about this messaging and it's good to have the CU and OC doing such a great job in this explaining good football content to guys and getting people to learn good football content. You don't have that with a lot of these YouTube things that I have just started really trying to tune into. You don't really get some real down to earth football content. Sometimes you get a lot of what I call football gossip. And sometimes football gossip can get us really off track about what really football really entails.
Yeah.
But it's good to have a chance to talk to y'all guys for a few minutes and talk some good football strategy for this upcoming season.
All right, we go get right into it. We going right into it because, see, I talk to you a lot about, the concepts and different ways to attack and different ways in defense, and you raise some hell of 5 points. It's definitely time to put you on camera, in my opinion. But let's talk. And let's go ahead and get to it.
I want to get my opening statement out here about this. at first, you had talked about me and OC had to go at it, but I think OC, just listen to y'all lives since the first time we had talked about it. I think OC I think he really got a feeling like I have in some ways, but I think he's more talking about what's realistically going to happen about than what he's really, it's hard really telling what should happen. I think he got that same feeling. I think we should use that beast we got back there, that backfield, a whole lot more than what we're going to use it. But history tells us that Mike McCarthy has not been a run guy.
Nope.
Kellen Moore wants to throw the football. So if you really want to be talking realistically, that's basically where they're going, the direction they're going to head in. But I think success of the Cowboys have always been historical, and I'm a history guy. And I don't know of a lot of people out there, history guys, but history repeats itself. I told you that, boss, when we talk, history repeats itself. And even though it's in 2021, but in the 70s, we won with a philosophy. And crazy enough, we had that same type of team when it came to the 90s, 20 years later. And we still
hold on,
the
Marvin.
framework of the team.
Hold on real quick. First, could you center your phone just for the presentation?
Okay.
We want to see your face.
Okay, that's better?
That's it. There it is.
Okay, I'm holding right there.
Second, when you say history repeating itself, you're talking about basically being a run-first team, and historically, that's true, what you're saying. Basically, to catch everybody up, because I had a lot of conversation with Marvin behind the scenes, the Dallas Cowboys' most success has come with running the ball. That is true. Historical.
Mm-hmm.
OC and others are of the opinion that we can easily transition into the 21st century of pass first. So I want to get OC in here, let him go, then see y'all go back and forth on that. We might not even ever get to these coaches because I want to first see this debate. So OC, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know, Boss Cowboy, if this is going to be a debate. It's just more so of how you see it offensively. And I think that Coach Marvin's opening statement was 100% true. You know, it's not necessarily about what you should do in certain situations. It's about having an indicator about what should happen. So history does show us, if you're dealing with a Mike McCarthy coach team, that he's going to be pass happy. This is where I think that the run comes into effect for the Cowboys. I think that Mike McCarthy likes the option to be able to run when you get down inside of the 15-yard line. I think that that's when he's really go pick up the pace in terms of trying to pound the football in. Also, I think that with leads in the game, he will line up in 21 personnel and really try to pound the football and let Zeke close out games. But let me throw a slight curveball into this conversation, because there are certain pass concepts that you can run that are to running the ball. So when you talk about flare routes, when you talk about quick two routes, if they're playing off cover, quick two route or the quick slant route will be available. Right. All those are the jet sweep, okay? The motion jet sweep, right? Things like that will go into wide receivers' hands potentially, are your more skilled position type players will be equivalent to short runs in a pass-centric, pass-happy type offense. I do with the Cowboys, and I think that Coach Marvin brings up a pretty good point in the 70s and then in the 90s, and then in 2016 with the performance of Ezekiel Elliott just tearing up the league. These are the two things that you had, right? Where in both of those situations you had very good offensive lines, and then you had elite running backs, and so the Cowboys have both those things, right? Deja vu again, looking in 2021, bearing everybody stays healthy. They have the exact same thing, so they're going to have the ability to line up, because remember, they play the 25th strongest schedule, right? They play one of the weakest schedules in the NFL this year based upon teams' winning percentage last year. So based on that, they're going to have the opportunity versus some of these weaker teams to line up and smash that football.
Right on. So, I'm trying to get y'all to fight, and y'all just being all nice to each other, man. That's what happens.
I got a rebuttal, boss, to some of that what he said. I got a curveball with that also.
There we go.
I understand where I've never been a component of a lot of these short stop hitch passes to replace the running game. that has showed not to. Sometimes that doesn't really work. Pittsburgh did that last year where they said they refused to run football and they'll throw 5-yard passes and do that. But I don't think our receiver personnel is built for that. Mari Cooper is a great route runner, but he's not one of those guys. If he catch the ball, if he gets loose in a 5-yard pass, he's gonna take it to the house. Michael Gallup is not that guy. They're mostly, when they run deep patterns, they're more what I call strong receivers. They can get loose, but their strength is their thing. CeeDee Lamb, I saw it in college. I think he has more quickness than burst. So we don't have those guys like the Tyreek Hills or the guys that if you miss the tackle on them on the outside, that could be 6 points easily. And it puts fear into defenses. And if we use those big receivers into those type of short games with the personnel we have, I think we're taking away where they're best at. And I think sometimes we get caught up in, Kellen Moore kills me with this wide receiver screen. He did it a lot last year, and it really never proved to be. It never got any yards because you don't have those type of guys. You don't have those type of guys you can throw it out there. They're gonna make people miss, and they're gonna take it to the house. And that kind of got with me. So I think sometimes when you don't have that running back there, and you chose to try to get 2 to 3, 4, 5 yards with a passing game. First point where I say that is a problem. And when I went through coaching, I had an offensive coordinator that wanted to do these little short passes, and I said, well, listen, with that, to get 5 yards, you got a lot of things that got to go right. First, you got to have protection. Then you got to throw the pass, and then there got to be a good pass thrown, and then the guy got to catch it just to get 5 yards. Why we don't hand the ball to the guy that don't have all these things we got to go through and get 5 yards? Because if he drops the pass, we get behind the sticks. If he drops the pass, we get behind the sticks. We make a bad pass or is defended, we get behind the sticks. And I think that was, even though the Cowboys offense was 13th in the league, there was a lot of times that they were behind the sticks. And that was because of sometimes I think over-aggressive play calling or wasted passes. That's just my take on it. And I think the film backs that up. We had a lot of third and longs in the last 2 seasons, and with the quarterback of back in 19, they're just making some good passes. But I think in 2016 we worked off a short third down distance, and Dak was outstanding, and he still can make big plays if we don't have to put so much pressure on him.
Hold on, real quick,
yes,
let me fix Coach real quick, because Coach, we still only see your mouth. It's a lot of people that's visual. We gotta make sure this presentation is on point, Coach. I'm trying to get you to run this audible, and you keep going back to the same play, Coach. So we got
so Boss Cowboy, while you fix that, let me address some of the things the coach said, because he put a whole lot out there. So let me say this. We actually do have the pieces, coach, to do that. CeeDee Lamb had some of the best run after catch in the NFL, right? And he has strong hands. He's very, very good underneath routes. Also, don't forget, we got coming back Blake Jarwin, who previous last year did very, very good with the out routes, with the 1 route, with the 3 route, broke tackles, got 10 or 15 yards a pop. Right type of coverage in that. Also, don't forget about Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was a great guy in space with swing passes and with screens. So we do got the personnel to actually pull this off. And so what I'm talking about when I talk about using short variations of the passing game to supplement some run plays, I'm not talking about scoring touchdowns here. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about catching the ball in space, making a move, or either catching it and getting tackled where you made a 3-5 yard gain. Now, where you see the Cowboys get in one of the points that you made about what you phrased as over-aggressive play calling is 1st and 10 or 2nd and short, throwing the top of the route tree, throwing 6s, 7s, and 8s, and then those passes being contested.
Hold on, OC, explain 6, 7s, and 8s. I get what you're saying, but so that the viewers know what you're saying, Please just
Yeah,
define
so
6, 7, and 8.
Long developing pass
yeah,
route.
yeah. So let me break it down in detail. So when you're dealing with a 6 route, you're dealing with a route that's going to be more so of a curl route, right? Or a corner route, a long route, 15 yards and out, 10 yards and out, 12 yards and out, passes that are going to be a 7-step drop for that quarterback at least. So these are not catch and throw passes. These are catch back, allow the defense to get set up and your receivers to try to work themselves open down the field. So those are typically and always your lower percentage completion routes. And so another thing, Coach, that I think that is something to be thought of. If you look at Dak Prescott, and you actually made this point in your comment, Dak Prescott has been very good with short to intermediate routes. He's been very good with what we call timeouts, catch and throw type routes. And so I think that based upon his background and his numbers will bear out that he's good in those type of scenarios.
Yeah, I think he's really good in those type of scenarios. I think, but I want to see Dak Prescott developing more of a that intermediate 20-yard dig pass plays that hurts the defense a little bit more. I think I brought up something to Boss, and I'm gonna bring it up to you, OC, and I don't know if Boss really understood what I was saying. I said control.
Hold on
of
now,
the game.
Coach.
Listen, let me tell you, control of the game comes in the offense in the run game, but points come in the passing game. And some people will screw that and say, well, you're telling me that that's what we need to do. Is that no, control of the game comes in the running game, but points come in the passing game. It's almost like body blows. Headshots are knockout punches. Body blows, they weaken you and they pound you into submission. And then when you go for that headshot, it's not for just to tap you on the head, it's to knock you out. And I don't want to use a lot of little patty pat headshots and then I want to use these headshots to knock people out. I think one thing that Kellen Moore has to learn, and OC, I think you pointed on this a couple of weeks ago. I think a lot of people get confused about, I don't know if he's experienced enough to know how, he may be a great play caller, but does he know how to control a football game? Now that's some deep coaching thing there when you talk about how to control the tempo of a football game. And if you could control, the team that controls the tempo of the game usually wins the football game. And does he know how to control, does he know when to push that pedal? Does he know when to say, my defense needs a rest. Let me back off this pedal. Let us be precise with our plays, but he knows how to control the football game. The worst game that I think Kellen Moore called last year was the Eagles game.
Oh my God, no, Coach. Which one?
When we went to Philadelphia and we went with a rookie, a quarterback that was drafted in the 7th round from a 1AA school.
You talking about game 2 or game 1?
And he threw 40 passes. That was the most passes that a rookie quarterback probably thrown in I don't know how many years. That same week he started, the quarterback out of Miami started his first game. The guy that came out of Alabama. And remember, he was the 4th pick in the draft? Right?
So hold on. Which game you talking about, though, Coach? You talking about game 1?
I'm talking about the Philadelphia game that was on TV that Ben DiNucci started, and we went to Philadelphia.
Oh, that was DiNucci,
I think
yeah.
And
okay, I'm with you on that.
The quarterback for Miami started. He threw 16 passes in his first start.
Right.
Ben DiNucci, who's a 7th round pick out of JMU, threw the ball 40 times in that game, in a game that we were leading at halftime, and the game that we actually was running the football well. And this is where I have a problem with Mike McCarthy. I was watching that game, and you know how they have to come out from the outside the half, and the reporters on the sideline, they asked him a question. They said that how are you gonna get Ben DiNucci going in this game? And Mike McCarthy said, we got to find him some ways that he can get some passes off. If they would have asked me that question, I would have looked at him and said, you know, when he was drafted, we're going to put this on the guys that's been here the longest, And if Ben helps us, he will. But we're not going to put this in his hands to win this game. And that's what they did. He did throw in the interceptions because he threw the ball sometimes so bad nobody could catch it. But he did fumble in the backfield that turned the game around. And that is a true coaching thing. And I got one other bad coaching thing that just concerns me about Kellen Moore, that he knows.
Oh, hold on, Coach. You overloading real quick. You got to get an OC some room. Save that, though. Save it. I want you to hold it.
Feel me on that.
I want you to hold it. You go pump. And before you go, OC, I want to just answer a question real quick. All right? Because I've been waiting on this day.
Go ahead.
So,
go ahead.
Miss Charles asks, what's the route tree? Okay. So she asked specifically about a 6, 7, and 8. And, you know, OC, he explains stuff very well, but I want to slow it down just a little bit for people that's not coaches or never played and want to understand these concepts. So 6s are usually your dig routes, which the OC is correct from a route tree standpoint. And those routes usually take longer to develop, which is putting your quarterback at risk. It's the same thing with the 7 route, Miss Charles. So when they say 7, it looks like they're going to the corner, but a 7 route is actually a post corner. Okay, so that's where the receiver will go like they going to the goal post, take a real hard step, and go straight to the pylon, for an example. Right? Just it really don't work exactly like that, but I'm just so you can see it in your eye's mind. Okay. Then you have your 8 route. Go ahead, OC.
No, just real quick. I just wanted to do one thing, right? Because that's a great route tree that you got, a Boss Cowboy. But some coaches will call it a little bit different, right? So I wanted to point it out just for understanding for the fans. Okay.
Cool.
So when you get to that 6 route, you know, some people will call that 6 route a dig, or some in the traditional route tree they'll call that 6 route a curl route. So it'll look like a J, almost like you're running up and then you're running a J coming back toward that quarterback. So I want to just point that out real quick. Go ahead, boss.
Yeah. So then you have your 8, which is universal pretty much that's a post. Everybody know 8s as a post. And a post route for Miss Charles and those who listening is obviously when the receiver runs pretty straight and then he goes straight to the goal post so that you can kind of see it in your head. And then the 9 route is basically where a receiver is going straight downfield. So, you know, some of this stuff it helps you when you have these concepts in front of you. So when you listen to a commentator, you listening to Romo call a game, you listening to OC breakdown stuff, and you listening to Coach Marvin, that's what they're talking about. So I'm sorry to break up y'all debate, but I wanted to answer her question on that real quick. All right. So, and she also said get those lights up. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Charles. No, so look, Boss Cowboy, and you know, to several of Coach's point, man, I'll go back and rehash a little bit. You know, he brought up in particular about, you know, controlling the game, and I see what kind of coach you are, Coach Marvin.
I
see you a
too.
3-yard cloud of dust. You know what I'm saying? You will bang them into submission. 3 yards, cloud of dust type old school mentality, coach. And so coach, so look, basically, I think that, you know, it's more than one way to skin a cat. Listen, and here's the thing too. The Cowboys did do a real good job in 2016 in the game, right? They did long drives, 12, 13, 14, 15 play drives, right? Gave the defense that was real shaky a rest, right? And that worked well for the Cowboys. This past year, with all the injuries, they were unable to do that because you don't have the offensive line to do that. See, that's the thing that people don't really understand. You got to have the offensive line, and you got to have what I call the hogs to be able to line up and control the game in that manner. I think it's various ways to control the game. I think that, to your point, Kellen Moore does get pass happy in certain situations, and I think that you find this when you have brilliant minds. So brilliant minds, oftentimes, they're so creative that they overlook the simple. Right? They're so, and they're gifted. Hold on, coach, 1 second. And and will bypass the simple things that you need to do to win the game. And it's just blocking and tackling. Now, to another side point, coach, is that, hey, based upon who you're playing against and 8-man fronts and formations, sometimes when it comes to running that football, you're outnumbered. And this is something that we got to remember. The teams that we playing against, they pay those boys millions of dollars too. So those boys are not necessarily chumps. At some point, your offensive line may lose some one-on-one matchups, thus blowing up some components of the run game. So I think that, to your point with Ben DiNucci, absolutely, it was egregious that he threw that much in that game. He didn't have to throw that much in that game. But also, you got to be able to be base. And it's also something, coach, that you didn't bring up, is that there's a tempo and a flow to every single football game, right? And so some games, your line is hot, they're firing off the ball, they are creating gaps and holes, and then in those situations, you got to recognize that as a coach, and you pound the football. In some games, your offensive line is getting their butt kicked, and so you got to be smart enough as a coach to make the adjustment to do quick release throws, or to move the pocket in terms of rollouts, to do some misdirection stuff in order to settle your line down and also get that defensive line in check so they don't come screaming off the football and be in the backfield every play. So I think there's nuances and there's things that you have to consider regardless of your philosophy. But I think that in general, when you talk about the Cowboys, they will have the ability to line up and run a football. Even though they will do that, look for Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore to do more of the same creative passing schemes and route trees that Dallas Cowboys just showed, and throw that ball down the football with screens. And also, last thing, coach, and then I'll let you jump back in, there's something called width and depth, right? And so what the passing game does in terms of the defense and keeping them honest, right, with the top of the route tree that Boss Cowboy just showed, you're forcing the defense to defend the depth of the field, right? And so that is creating underneath situations, right? But then when you do short, quick routes to the sidelines, and when you do jet sweeps, when you do sweeps, when you do screens, right? When you do flares, you're also forcing that defense to protect the width of the football field. That means you're forcing them to run sideline to sideline. And so that tends to a defense playing more of a straight up neutral front, which is what you want as an offense. You want them playing you straight up and not shading one way or the other, so you can get off your playbook and create the one-on-one matchups that you want to create if you're talking about calling the plays. So there you go. Just wanted to get that feedback, Coach.
And we can see Coach. We can see Coach. And somebody said something crazy, man. Gary coming in here being funny.
Oh, people learning football today, man. They learning football, and I hope they taking notes. They learning football.
Somebody said bring in an expert and tell them to shut up and wait. No. That's not what we doing. We just, look, I respect both offensive minds. What you have is you have two ways to win, and we really kind of trying to sort this out. So I want to listen to Coach, right, who a former head coach, and I want to listen to the OC, who's also an offensive coordinator. So both of these guys are very smart. There's no disrespect for either one of these guys. But what was you saying, Coach?
Hey, I think people learning football today, and I agree a lot with OC, but I do want to clear up something. I'm not one of those guys. I respect the passing game. I do believe Dallas should be more of a passing team, but I don't think they should be 60-40 or be unbalanced as much as they were this past year. History tells you most of the teams that win, even the great Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, were balanced.
Talk that talk, Coach.
They dominated the league for 10 years, but people get so wrapped up and said, "Oh man, Tom Brady," but they do. They would control the game, and when the end of the year came out, they were a balanced football team when it came down. But I will say this: I do think that when we talk about the offensive line, y'all had a group telecast the other day, and my man Law, who did a great thing with Boss Man Fat, but he did bring up something else, and he brought up a stat thing in there. He was talking about the win rate for the Cowboys last year. They were 29th in the league in win rate and pass, but they were 15th in win rate in running game. Was our offense line that bad in the run game, or did we give up on the run too early?
I'm loving this debate.
There's a way you can look at this. You know, there's some games in there against Baltimore Ravens. Zeke was at a 5-yard clip in the first half. He only got the ball 3 more times in the second half. But do we give up on the run? And this is another thing. What I say, and OC, you may not agree with this, but one thing about young, real inexperienced linemen, the one thing they do know, if they come in the NFL, now they may not have the strength, but one thing they do know, that they can run block. When you try to get them to pass block on these guys, and you ain't had no OTAs, no all season, and now they try to face NFL rushers and blitz schemes that they may have never seen before, it may have some problems. And so what I think is, I don't know how bad our run blocking was when I have games where we only attempt to run the ball 13 times in a game. I don't know if our run blocking was that bad, or was it? And now, my experience in coaching, I spent a lot of years as a defensive coordinator. And I can tell you, let me give you one of the most craziest things that a lot of people say. Oh, they talk about the box. So if we bring that extra man down the box, we can't run the football. I used to bring people down the box so you wouldn't run the ball, because the guy that come in the box really wasn't going to stay there. He was just going to say, I just want you to dictate what I want you to do. I want you to throw the ball, because I don't want you to give it to that guy, because I can't stop that guy. And if you give it to that guy, I know I'm going to have problems. You don't think people put people in the box for Derrick Henry? I mean, I'm quite sure that he runs against 7-man fronts all the time. But in a run game, yes, there may be an extra man there, but most run plays, and I'm telling this for all the people out there watching and listening, most run plays are not stopped by that extra man. They're stopped because they have multiple breakdowns of people missing blocks. Because usually one man with a great back, he still will get some yards. But when you have multiple people miss blocks and you cut off the lanes of escape for the running back, usually it looks like a failed thing. And we say, oh, they had too many men over there. No, we have a lot of people miss a lot of blocks. So I like what you're saying, OC, and I think when we talk about vertical attacking the field, I've had a problem with the Cowboys they have attacked the field vertically, but horizontally. But I've then had a problem with them attacking the field vertically, but they did a lot of more vertical attacks of the field this year. Dak had very few, when he was in there, they was attacking the middle of the field, down the middle of the field with CeeDee Lamb. And I've always says that shows me the great development in Dak, because I think Dak is the top 3 quarterback in this league. But what I feel with a quarterback, what makes a quarterback good for me is that quarterback that can
hold on, coach, I'm sorry, because see, you go into quarterback.
That tells me a lot.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So let me
back, because I'm loving.
Yeah, let me jump in. Yeah, let me jump in here just real quick. And so a couple things, Coach. I mean, if you look at the Dallas offensive line with the injuries, the issue is that, man, those guys could not get any push, right? Those guys could not get any push. If you look at them closely, going into a lot of these games, man, they were getting beat at the point of attack. And at the point of attack, that means to the fans, when the ball snaps, that your defender is in your chest getting penetration, or either he's discarding you. And so that's why you saw a lot of short tempo passing out of the Cowboys when they started to have more success after they had the injuries, to my point earlier. Now, you got to be able to line up and create movement. The thing that creates run lanes from an offensive lineman perspective is movement. If you cannot get movement, or you cannot create angles with your offensive line, then you're going to have a hard time running that football. It doesn't matter who your running back is. Now, what I will say, Coach, is this. I do think that for balance sake, even if you get 1 or 2 yards, it's called something keeping the defense honest. You do need to present the threat of running the ball, right? I think that 13 is a little bit light in the pants. I think that you should have at least around 18 to 20 attempts per game, because if not, then they become very, very predictable, and it makes it harder for you to run other plays. Now, you brought up something else, Coach, that I want to kind of point out. The Dallas Cowboys, if you go back to 2016 in terms of run pass percentage, they were more balanced. They threw the ball about 51% of the time. Okay, that's back great. In 2016, and they ran it 49% of the time. Now, if you look at this past year, if you look at 2020, the Dallas Cowboys, here's the difference, and I'll give it. Which Boss Cowboy?
No, I'm just I know Marvin. I talk to him a lot, so I already know where he's going. So I'll just laugh. It's just
Can
I love the debate, OC? Yeah. Can I just sit back and love something sometime? Because I talk a lot. So can I just sit back and love two people I respect going back and forth? I just want to sit back and enjoy it, man. Come on now.
Yeah, man, just sit back and enjoy yourself. So now here's the variance, and it's not what we consider a huge variance, but what some would say is a significant variance. The Dallas Cowboys threw the football in this past season with a bad offensive line 61% of the time. So now you got a 60-40 split. You got a 60-40 split, and you had a losing team. So, hey, like this, I think that this is all game specific. This is all personnel specific. I think that, one thing that Drew Brees proved, one thing that a lot of quarterbacks that are top elite quarterbacks, because I do think that Dak Prescott, to your point, is a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the NFL, is that you can put the game in the hands of your quarterback with the pass-happy league and having a score. That's the thing, and that's the other thing, Coach, that we got to really keep in mind. We don't have a top 10 defense here, right? We're hoping that we got an average defense, a top 15 to top 13 defense. So if you are reserved to running the ball X amount percentage, if you want a 50-50 split, that may be to your own demise, because you may find yourself in some games where you got to open it up and throw that football in order to come back and to score points and to separate and actually win the football game. So that's a big factor that we haven't even talked about yet. But yeah, you see the variance there, but 2020, some of our offensive linemen, man, they were getting whooped. They were getting beat, just straight up beat. And the reason why they were getting beat, Coach, is that something that Coach Brandon Tucker came on and said. He said that some people are overskilled but underpowered. That's what you have with some of our young offensive linemen. Yeah, these technical nuance, and some of them, like Steel.
I don't think it was all a young offensive lineman that was a problem in our run game. I'm going to tell you what was a problem in our running game. And it's been a problem for a while.
I know where you're going, Coach. I'm going to finish this point, then I'm going to kick it to you. I know where you're going. I'm going to finish this point, I'm going to kick it to you. I already know where you're going. So here's the deal. When you get straight up overpowered, when you get overpowered because you lack the strength, it doesn't matter what position you play. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to be creative as an offensive coordinator, do something creative to move the ball and to get first downs. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I wanted to point something out. We talk about our run game, and I'm glad you brought up that issue about our run game. Our run game was horrible for one thing. One thing about a good run game, and you're so correct by creating angles. And I don't think a lot of people out there understand when they talk about offense coordinators that most offense coordinators have a passing game coordinator. Usually, it might be in this case, it's probably Kellen Moore. And usually on teams, the run coordinator is usually the offensive line coach. He's a run game coordinator. I don't know how well Joe Philbin is a run game coordinator. I know Callahan was the best in the business as a run game coordinator. So that's something Kellen Moore needs to think about more. Who is this? Because I don't think he's enough experienced to know what plays to run in the run game that sets up the best angles, as you're talking about, OC, for those make the blocks much easier, or put your players in positions where they can make the block. The worst thing you can do is put a player in a position where he doesn't make a block, that type of block well, and tell him to run the ball and to make that type of block. So the run game coordinator is very important. The next thing when I said when we talk about the Cowboys run game, and I'm not going Connor Williams, and I think you think I was going there. And I do have a problem with Connor Williams. I told Boss what my problem with Connor Williams is. I don't think Connor Williams' leg injury since he came out of college. He's had knee problems, and that is what is compromising his strength. He could do all. He had an ACL done. He came out of college. His senior year was a problem with his knees. He had an ACL problem. He had another knee injury. In the first, he played games, but OC, you know this. You can't make that short set of anchor if you ain't got those knees. That's not gonna happen. You're gonna get compromised.
Hold on, coach. I gotta slow it down because see, y'all having a very high level conversation, right? I'm enjoying it. Oh man, listen. But you said a short set anchor. Can you break that down in very layman's terms?
Okay. When we talk about the short, we talk about that quick. When we talk about those short passes, when you want to connect with your defensive tackle and you want to set short, you want to strike him and set short. You don't want to give him room for him to come to you. That way you cut off the power that he has into the momentum he has in that bull rush, because Connor Williams gets bull rush a great deal. Quicker sets, that means he gauges the contact faster. He slows the momentum of the defensive lineman down faster. Instead of these, sometimes I used to tell my linemen, when we try to, a guy stronger than you, you want to make contact with him first. You don't want him to get rolling because you can't handle him. And if he gets rolling and he's stronger than you already, and if he gets momentum, you're going to crumble. So you want to try to get to him faster. Sometimes bigger linemen can take a little longer set because they can wait on guys and because they got the brace that hit. But Connor, he can't, either way he does it, short or a long set. Once he feels the weight of that D tackle and he doesn't have those knees, that's why you see Connor Williams, when he gets bull rush, he gets put on his back. That's because his legs are not strong enough. His legs are giving out on him, and he's crumbling under weight. That's just like, the weight of a building come down, on somebody, and you just crumble, and he's just crumbling under that. But he is still not the worst problem of our run game. Joe Looney should have been out of Dallas.
Hold on, coach. See, coach, I don't want you to go to another point. Cause see, you make a point, then you make another good point. I want to break your points down. You can't talk.
Joe Looney should have been out of Dallas a long time ago.
Let him finish. Let him finish. I got him. Let him finish.
Okay, cool. All right.
And I'm gonna tell you the other part. And OC, I think a lot of people don't understand this with your run game. Know who are very important to your run game? Your tight end blocking is ultimately important in your run game. Well, people say, "Oh, what is your tight end blocking? Why it's so important?" Tight end blocking, not just because you run it towards them and they're getting the edge or they're sealing the tackle and you letting the tackle get up on the linebacker. The cutoff, the Ezekiel Elliott and he lived on cutback runs, because that backside tight end cutting off that backside pursuit is ultimately important in the run. And if your tight ends do not have that gumption into them to get into that defensive end or cut that backside off, where Jason Witten had gotten old, he couldn't do it no more. Blake Godwin, he don't have enough blocking skills in him. The only person that does it well somewhat is Schultz. But if we don't get that straightened out, we're gonna have problems in the run game. I think Tyler.
Hold on, coach. Listen. Hold on, coach. See, because I talk to coach all the time. I know. See, he go point by point. OC, he's very thorough, so that's why I gotta cut him off.
Yeah. That's fine. I got him. Let me jump in here real quick.
Hey, we gonna come back to that too, coach. All right. Don't think I'm cutting you off your whole thought. I just want to do it in a way to where the fans can keep up. Because you go. Yeah,
I want OC opinion on that. On what I said. I want, because I think that's
because he talked about three things. Let me try to sum it up. He talked about the Connor Williams with the set.
Yep.
He talked about Connor Williams with the knee problems. Then he brought up the tight ends and the importance of tight ends to the running game. Then he was going to Beatis. He was already on point 4. So I listened well, so I know exactly where he was going, and I talked about. So I want everybody to get caught up because I want you to be able to address some of those issues that he was talking about from the run game. On see if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. So look, when you deal with Connor Williams, we talked about him and the strength issues, even with Coach Brandon Tuck, right? We talked about that, and we talked specifically about the short set, or what I call a quick set, or what I call a one set. And basically all that is that you're picking your hand up off of the ground, you're taking a 45-degree step, and you are engaging the defender. It almost looks like you're run blocking. That's what it looks like when it's done properly. It looks like you're run blocking, because all I'm trying to do is cut off his momentum, and I want to get on top of this guy really, really quick to stop his momentum, because normally I got a short pass, or I'm trying to stop him from bull rushing me if he can overpower me, right? And so we talked about that. We talked about his knees crumbling. I think that this is an issue with Connor Williams. I'm not so much on the fact that his knees are bad. I think that his anchor is bad. I think that his ability to bend and to sit down on blocks, which does have to do with strength to a degree, but
what does that have to do with knees? Because that was his point. I didn't mean to cut you off, because his point was he's struggling with the because this is where I know this conversation came from. I didn't mean to cut you off, OC. I just want to be clear on this, because I'm also trying to get a better understanding myself. So I was talking to Coach behind the scenes, and he was saying that Connor Williams is struggling, and I specifically said on the bull rush. So when I said that, Coach Marvin texted me, he said, "Boss, it's his knees." You know what I mean? And then we had a conversation about it later. I wanted you to address that, if that's okay.
So I'm addressing it now. And so what I said, and I'm going to elaborate on this point, I mentioned it a couple shows back when we were talking with Tuck. There are several things you can do as an offensive guard, especially a weak side offensive guard playing the left guard position, if you want to compensate for getting bull rush. Okay, number one, understand the protection. Sometimes the Cowboys are doing combo protections, or they're doing slide protections, right?
Explain combo and slides, because that's
So combo protections, a lot of times, if there's a tight end, which doesn't happen much time in pass sets, right, with Tyron Smith, if there's a tight end outside of that tackle, he's going to have help from the center, or either the tackle stepping down, based upon how they're calling it protection, helping him, right, with a strong 3 or 4-eye technique, right, lined up to his outside shoulder. If they're running a pure slide protection, let's say it's slide left, right, then he can jump set. He can be very aggressive and jump set that defensive tackle to his outside, because if the defensive tackle tries to counter with a quick inside move, he has the center coming to him if the center is uncovered. Okay, and they don't have a blitzing linebacker. So I'm saying there are nuanced things that he can do in terms of changing up his sets. Also, to take it to another level, if you really want to stop a bull, it's your knees and sitting down, but it also starts with your hands. Connor Williams misses wide with his punch. He's hitting the outside of these pads, giving up his chest, so he's giving up leverage. So it's a technical issue, not only with his legs, which I agree with, he needs more strength. It's also a technical issue with his hand placement. So if his hand placement begins to be inside, where he can get his hands inside of defenders and start to try to press up, he can stop a lot of that bull rush. Because the key to stopping a bull rush, right, when somebody's going hard at you, is to get their weight going up. If their weight keeps coming straight at you like a torpedo, and you have no remedy for that, right, and you lose all balance, then it makes a grown man look like a little girl, right, because his knees collapse, he falls, and he buckles. So, that's the whole issue with that. So I'm getting into some higher level technical stuff just to explain there are different ways to address a bull rush, right? There's different ways to stop a bull rush, because as an offensive lineman, you have key information that nobody else has. You know the play. You know if it's a 3-step drop. You know if it's a
That's
5-step
right.
drop. I know if it's a 7-step drop. I know if we're running left. I know if we're running right. And I can use this knowledge if I'm playing with my mind, not just my body, to manipulate your movements as a defender against me. I can attack your inside shoulder, even if I know it's going outside, because I know I can pin you that way. I can attack your outside shoulder and try to pin you inside, because if I know the ball is bouncing out, I can do a variety of things to try to keep you honest so that you don't just hone down on me and use your best move and overpower me if I'm struggling with weakness. Okay, second thing, when you talk about Coach Philman, I think that Coach Philman is adequate in terms of his understanding of the run game. I don't think he's expert, to Coach's point, but here's the problem with the offensive line as a whole in terms of calling plays. The offensive line, in terms of the plays that were called, they called the plays as if they had their starting 5 veteran offensive powerful line. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
So they were still power run plays. They're calling isolation, draw plays, power run plays when you don't got the horses and them Porsches, as I like to say. You know what I'm saying? You got a Pinto engine and it look like a Porsche. You know what I mean? That Porsche ain't going that fast. So what you got to be able to adjust how you call the play. So now, let me get into this a little bit. So when you're dealing with calling run game plays, let's go back to the Denver Broncos and Terrell Davis, right? When he was a multiple 2,000-yard rusher. They didn't have power offensive linemen. They had all their offensive linemen were around 300 pounds or less, but these guys were quick, they were agile, and they did something called zone blocking, okay? Zone blocking, where they attacked angles. They attacked areas. They didn't so much attack a man. And this allowed for space in the run game for either Terrell Davis to hit the play front side, if it was a whole front side, or, to your point, Coach, is to see that they're overplaying the front side because they had a linebacker trying to cover over what have you, and him to cut the ball back. So Ezekiel Elliott is quick-footed enough to do that. So if you're struggling with getting people off of the football, then you have a zone concept, right? Also, if you're struggling running the football and you got athletic linemen, which we had some young guys that had fairly athletic ability, well, we can double team your best defensive lineman. We call a trap play. We can do a single trap, right? We can double team you and we can trap a guy on trying to get a kick out. And to your point, Coach, the best run blocking tight end that we've had in the last several years, we traded this guy. His name was Rico Gathers. He was a big, strong, almost 300-pound guy that could line up and just hammer some guys, right? If you just want a good run blocking tight end, that does have an impact. I think that Schultz is weak. I think he's trying to keep his roster spot, trying to get that check, so he go stick his head in there, but I don't think he's the best option. And Blake Jarwin is more like a hybrid wide receiver / tight end. He's not really built for that action, so I think you got to manipulate some different things. And here's the thing that I hope, okay, and I'm just thinking outside the box, Coach, when I say this. Here's the things that I hope that the Dallas Cowboys play with this year, right? That you see teams like the Chiefs play with at times. You see teams like New England Patriots play with at times. They'll bring in a 6 offensive lineman as a tight end, and they'll use him as a tight end, right, to block and to create mismatches on the outside. So I hope that the Cowboys do something like that. I think I hit all 3 of the points, Boss Cowboy. Did I miss anything?
I don't think you did. Hold on real quick, Coach. Coach, give me 1 second, because I got to actually say the OC was
perfect.
You know, he hit all those points. Line by line.
He did just 1 point.
And I want to say something.
Point.
Which one, Coach? Which one?
No.
Which
hold
one
on,
did I miss, Coach?
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna get to it. I promise. I'm gonna keep order. We gotta entertain too, y'all. Come on now. So, one thing, I want to go ahead, finish your point, and then I'll say what I'm gonna say.
Okay, this is the point you didn't hit, and I agree 100% about Connor Williams and the combo block. But if you got a center like Joe Looney.
Oh, Looney.
Whatever problems Connor Williams got, they're gonna be magnified because you got a non-physical, non-power center beside you. When you put a person like Fredericks or maybe Biotis beside him, he will be a whole lot better. But if he's beside Looney, whatever problems he has with power, it's gonna magnify because he can't combo with that guy because that guy is not powerful enough to take those low. Drew Looney should have been gone long time. There's a reason why Joe Looney's still on the market. And he will be on the market. Let's Cowboys pick him up. Nobody else is gonna pick him up.
Let me address that thought with Joe Looney.
Hold on, real quick.
Let me address that point real quick.
I will promise. I promise you.
Boss Cowboy got a hard stop. Right?
We almost finished.
I got a hard stop in 10. Yeah.
No problem. Check this out. April Shaw was said, OC is like wine. You sip on it, not drink it all at once.
Man, April, I like you. I like you, April, man. April, become my Twitter friend, man. I'm gonna tell you what, man. I'm gonna do something nice for you. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it.
And she showed you. She said, "My boy like fine wine." Hey, man, this is
OC. Let me tell you something. I want to say this right quick, man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, OC is a real. This here, OC. You should be the offense coordinator of the Cowboys. You could. I believe they need somebody. Listen, I think they need somebody who's going to be real with this team. I just want to point. I know y'all got to go. I got to go. But I want to point out one thing, and I want to see if OC. I really want to know what OC thought about this. All right, boss, we talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland game. Y'all remember Cleveland game, right? We played the Cleveland Browns, second game of the season, right? Mm-hmm. Cleveland had a defensive end that came from. He's from Dallas, ain't it? Ain't the great defensive end from Cleveland from Dallas or from Texas? You went to Texas A&M.
Yeah, he went to A&M. I know you're talking about Miles Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah, Miles.
This is where I have an indictment on probably Joe Philbin somewhere, and an indictment on your offensive coordinator that he has to stop this coming year. Second game of the season. First game in Dallas Stadium, you got one of the best defensive end rushers in the league. You got a rookie, first year, no OTAs, just played one game. You gonna leave him out there butt naked on the second play of the game.
Butt naked. It's bucket.
And
bucket naked.
And we wonder why that got sacked. It was a strip fumble. It should have been. I wouldn't have left him out. I may have left him butt naked later on, but not when this guy is fired up. He coming back to Texas, and this is the first game in Dallas. And the second play of the game, I'm gonna leave Terrence Steele out there one-on-one and say, block him.
Talk that chess, coach.
Yeah,
Talk
yeah,
that chess, coach.
Coordinator, OC, if you was the offensive coordinator, OC, if you call that play, you have to be experienced enough, not just know the play call, but know everybody on your offense and what they're capable of doing. And the first thing I want to say is, I need help for that guy right there, right now, until this guy calm down out there on that defensive end.
Talk that, coach.
I cannot leave him out there the second play of the game, butt naked, because I put him in a position to lose. We're lucky we didn't lose Dak for the year after that play.
Yeah, and Coach, to your point, and I'm gonna answer both those questions in this last statement for me. Is that there's something called hiding your offensive lineman, right? And so when you got Joe Looney, you got an adequate backup guy, not a backup, adequate backup. No, do I think he's a great player? No, I mean he's a backup, and he's a guy that's just adequate, right? And so if you put him against an average or below average, left guard in terms of being a great left guard, then you're gonna have some problems there. But I think that you got to hide him by doing different things and by your play call. And to your point about Steele playing against Myles Garrett, yeah, they didn't hide that guy. And actually, Coach, I watched that game, all of it, and I had the exact same thought as you had. I'm like, why are they leaving him one-on-one like that? That was my exact. So you got to at least chip him with a back. You got to at least leave a tight end there to slow him down. Or what you do to keep a guy like Myles Garrett honest is that he's such a freak athlete. He likes to sprint up the football field. That's his weakness. So you counter trade this guy, right, man? You trap a guy like that, right? You do stuff like draws against that guy to make him hesitate a half a step so that he is not just sprinting up the football field trying to go take your quarterback's head off. You make him think a little that. You got to run some stuff straight at him, make him think a little bit so he slows down. So to your point, I 100% agree. You got to hide and protect guys and let him get in the ebb and flow. Also, you run screens his way. You do things to make him have to sprint and run and think, right? Not just let him go one-on-one with the rookie offensive guard that's not ready for him, because a lot of veteran offensive tackles are not ready for this guy. So to your point, great point. But that's what I would have done. Boss Cowboy, I got to get out of here in about 5.
I got you. Yeah, he with the family, y'all. So let me sum it up. First of all, this was Coach Marvin's debut on podcasting. So people have been in the chat box saying, "Where can we find Coach?" Well, we low key recruiting him. No, just play. But if he decides to get in the podcast game, we'll talk about that.
Oh yeah, I'm deciding to try to. I'm gonna think I'm getting in the podcast game, man, and I'm gonna have that. But I want all the people out there, if you like me, comment and to subscribe to this man right here, Boss Cowboy and OC, man. Let's get them to the point of, I done had 5 of my friends that don't even know nothing about football in the last day just subscribe, because I want them to get to their number so they can even grow this thing even bigger, man. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with these guys because they know football.
Man, I sure appreciate that, Coach. And I would tell y'all, and I bid all the way other so we can get OC out on Tommy with his family. And you know how it is. When he say a hard 5, he mean it. We didn't even get to talk about the other coaches. So obviously that's going to be in a future show. Like, we spent the whole show basically going back and forth on, should we be a run first or pass first? We never even really got the answer, but we got a great conversation. So anyway.
I know a little bit about defense too, boss.
Oh, man. Hey, listen, if y'all want Coach Marvin to come back, y'all put hashtag Coach Marv, all right? And that's obviously he coming back, but we want to hear from y'all, like, you know, because I felt like it was a great combo, and I think the fans want this higher level discussion more and more. So my final words, as always, is, you know, we strive to be loyal, not devoted. All right, we getting ready to get out here, and yep, you getting it. Everybody saying, Coach Marv, come on back. You getting the hashtag, so they want to see you again. So we'll figure out how to do that. You know what I'm saying? Me and OC will figure out how to do that. All right, man.
I appreciate it, man. OC, man, much love to you, man, and enjoy your family, much boss. Love, I got to get out of here too. Much love to you.
Man, much love, Coach, and I really appreciate you making the sacrifice to talk Cowboy talk with us. All right, so we out of here,
Coach.
man.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah, we out of here. We appreciate it, and remember, we didn't even talk about all the stuff that we was getting ready to talk about. So that's gonna be in the future. So you got another reason to come back, because trust me, it's fire. So, but we out of here, man. Let me keep my boy out of trouble by letting him get to his family. And thank you also, OC, for making a sacrifice while you with your daughter to talk football with us. We out.
All right, guys.
Boss Cowboy Sports, where your voice matters. Boss Cowboy Sports.